It's the Score North Twin Show.
Yeah, you know what? I'm getting the hanky.
Wow.
The new one. This is the new one from last year. Dude, they've won more series. This is it like the most consecutive series that they've won since 2010? Did I see that
Correct.
right?
Yep,
Correct.
6 in a row.
Dude,
6
they were
series wins in a row.
They were buried. They were 8 games back 3 weeks into the season. Judd wanted everyone traded and DFA'd, and now
Won't be talking about this team 15 years from now.
I was calling for jobs. Well, I'm still not sure that we will, but that's another topic.
yeah, Judd just got really cryptic at the end of that one episode. We're certainly not going to be talking about this team.
This team.
Really is. He was
Well, actually,
some
we
good
could
players.
be if they make some additions at the deadline.
And they might. At this
They
point,
might
let's
have
go.
no choice but to do that.
Let's go through. Well, they should. Yeah, let's go through the overview, and then we'll get to our State of the Twins Monday questions here. 24-16 overall record. Second place in the American League Central, just a half game behind the Guardians, who you will face this week. 7th in runs scored per game. 11th in runs allowed per game. 90% chance to make the playoffs, according to Baseball Reference. 8% chance to win the whole bleeping thing. So we'll start with Declan, our resident Twins beat podcaster. By the way, we just launched this new Score North Twins Show YouTube channel a couple months back. Click that like button and the subscribe button if that's where you're consuming, or just go find it, search Score North Twins Show on YouTube. You can also find a link to the new YouTube channel on our other 2 YouTube channels, Score North and Purple Daily. Thank you guys for helping us grow this thing. So Twins vibes are blank right now.
Spicy.
Oh.
They're spicy. From that, from the sausage that you thought was spoiled, and maybe at first you really enjoyed it, but then it went in the trash, and then all of a sudden it just reappears in the clubhouse, last homestand. And I like spicy food. I'm a big fan of spicy food, even though sometimes it might not sit well with me. I'm all for the spicy food. I know Phil feels the exact same way about spicy food.
I love spicy food. They don't love me, and sometimes I override against my better judgment. Yeah.
But I think the vibes are spicy, man. They got out of the dead. They've re-upped their playoff odds position. They've won 17 of 20 games. The Dex Plan 2.0 is playing with house money now, I think, for the next 2 series, essentially.
Right. Yeah, so you needed them to, Dex 2.0 is go 9-7 in the 16 games. Well, they're already 7 and, let's see here.
7 and
3.
Yeah, through the
So
10.
they just need to go 2-4 in the next 2 series, and they can hit the Dex Plan.
Right. Now, I did say the Dex Plan had to have series wins against Cleveland and New York, so
it's true.
The 2-4, I guess, would be a failure in my caveat of the Dex Plan.
Plausible now, though. Didn't they just lose 3 or 4 to the White Sox?
Dude, the White Sox, I'm telling you, the Tommy Pham era White Sox are a different bunch. Ever since they got Tommy Pham, they have been completely different. I don't know why that happened, but
he's kind of a psychopath. But
yeah, he is a jerk.
It works out really well. But yeah, I think the vibes are spicy, dude. They're really spicy. You got other players stepping up. Spicy vibes in a good way.
I'm going to make up a word. They are barrel-esque. Barrel-esque. So the Twins.
How about we say barreled? The vibes are barreled.
Vibes are barreled.
I like hyphenating words. Barrel-esque. But anyway, whatever you want to say.
Whatever
you want to say. Since we last talked about this or did this exact show last Monday, Twins are 5-2. They have scored 6 runs a game in that time. An offense that once couldn't get going. I mean, Max Kepler is absolutely on fire. Some other players, we'll talk about them, are absolutely on fire, or at least they were in Toronto. But this team is now offensively, they've gotten some good starting pitching. I'm sure we'll talk about the bullpen struggles this past week at various times. But that being said, they are now, they had a great chance to sweep the Jays, up 7-1 on Saturday. They blew that. The bullpen blew that. But the point is, the hitters, the lineup is now carrying its weight. And so I gave them barrel-esque.
Barrel-esque. I'm gonna say Twins vibes are dangerous right now. This team is dangerous. this lineup is dangerous. It's more dangerous than people, and it's going to get more dangerous. We saw Royce Lewis from a distance in one of the suites at Target Center last night. At some point, he'll be injected back into this lineup. But if you keep getting some of the hitting you're getting from the Trevor Larnacks, and we'll talk about a couple other guys as we go through the categories, and if you're going to get this version of Bailey Ober after the meltdown opening start that bloated his ERA, now you have like this version of Bailey Ober, excuse me, is a bona fide playoff rotation caliber starter. A guy, by the way, who is striking out more batters than he has in the past too. So it's a dangerous Twins team. The vibes are dangerous.
Dangerous.
Coming back to Target Field.
Sausages as well, but that's a different story.
Yeah, are we gonna? At what point do they take a bite out of that sausage? After the season's
I don't
over?
think you take a bite now. It bonked poor Carlos Santana right in the head on Saturday. Got him right in the helmet.
Pretty funny.
So Kepler didn't see it. Carlos Santana got bopped in the head. We need to put some
There's so many
reflector lights on this thing.
There's so many jokes right there about that, but I'll avoid them all at them.
Okay, Declan, what is your current favorite Twins thing?
My favorite current Twins thing is the resurgence of players from the dead. So the resurgence of the Carlos Santana and Willie Castro. Both these guys over the last 2 weeks, kind of during the heart of this winning streak, both them have OPSs over 900. These were two dudes who in the middle of the season, or the middle of April, I should say, 2 weeks in, were unplayably bad at the plate. I mean, just couldn't hit the ball at all, had to play because of injuries. And when you go on a winning streak and you start winning a lot of games like the Twins have been doing over the last 20 or so, you're going to need more than just Kepler to step up, right? Like, yeah, Ryan Jeffers has been awesome, and that shouldn't be glossed over. But you need the other players, too, to have big at-bats. Carlos Santana looks exactly like who we've always known Carlos Santana to be, which is a guy who plays good D, draws a lot of walks, has a little bit of pop. He's been phenomenal. He kind of single-handedly won them the series this weekend in Toronto. Willie Castro had to be thrusted into playing shortstop, and that was a little bit of an adventure. But now he's thrusted into playing center field because Byron Buxton's injured. And, by the way, he's still raking at the plate. So my favorite thing is these players who looked unplayably bad at the plate have had a resurgence. And Carlos Santana and Willie Castro have been two of their best offensive players during this stretch.
So since Declan brought up Carlos Santana here, this is the point in the show where we pause and we give the floor to Judd for his official apology for wanting Carlos Santana DFA'd several weeks back. So go ahead, Judd, do the right thing.
I've been thinking about this. So he was 5 for 12, hit home runs in each game of the Toronto series. It's the second time this season that he's actually hit a home run in 3 straight games. And I've been thinking about how to approach this because there's a few factors here. One, I'm still scarred by the constant harassment I took from my Dylan Bundy criticism because each time he would step up and make a good start a couple of years ago during his stay, I would be asked by the panel on this show, was I going to apologize? And I said, most definitely not. And then I thought, when it comes to Santana, if I apologize now, what does that do? I feel like the DFAing is if nothing else, put out a karma in the air that got to Carlos Santana. And he's like, I'll show that guy. I can't stand that Zuglad guy.
I'm backpedaling.
Yep. And so guess what? There will be no apology. There will be no apology because I'm not going to jinx it for the Twins. No apology.
Okay, how about in play?
Continue to do it.
So you're trying to keep the motivational factor in play because
I feel like it's bad luck right now.
Carlos Santana wakes up every morning, and much like in Rocky IV, where Rocky has a picture of Ivan Drago on his bathroom mirror, he has a picture of Judd Zulgad on his mirror saying, "That's the guy that wanted me DFA'd after 10 days."
Yep.
How about an alternate path? If you could just say, "I was wrong."
I don't
for
mind
saying Carlos Santana was cooked, that he had nothing left. I
don't know I'm
overreacted to an early season, March, early April sample size.
I don't know that yet. He's playing
clearly
great
not
now.
Cooked. He
was bad before. He's good now. I don't know what's going to happen.
If he was cooked, how would he hit 7 home runs in the first month and a half of the season?
But what if this is the end of life thing where right before you die, people reportedly get like a great day where they're like, let's go out, let's go party. The next day they die. I can't risk that.
It's like when you get a breath of air, like as you see the lights.
It's true though. It's true. People who are about to die often have one really good day left where they're like, they pop up in bed, energetic, and the next day they're gone.
I just think sometimes the sports dad, when it comes to the Twins, you are right to call someone out for underperforming, but then you take it a step further and you say that they're cooked or they should be gone or the Twins should sell low on them or whatever it is.
But Dylan, like Judd, Carlos Santana has been a phenomenal player for like his entire career. Dylan Bundy was never phenomenal.
He wasn't phenomenal last year. He's bounced around
when he was 37 years old.
Right,
yeah,
but that's my point. He's old. He's old.
But he's been a serviceable, good player defensively, and
for
like his
time.
bat's not what it was. No, I'm saying the last few years, he's not what he was 10 years. 10 years ago, he's one of the best players in baseball.
Phenomenal player, yes.
But yeah, I just you jumped the
I'm
gun a little bit. You jumped the gun a little bit.
I'm not doing it wrong. Well, and that's great, but I want to see this keep up. No, I mean, if this keeps up, great. If it doesn't.
But the fact, okay. But even if it like doesn't fully keep up, you thought he was like could not play baseball anymore a month ago. I just want that to be noted.
It was terrible,
and we're not getting an apology for that.
No, you're not getting an apology, but he has. But it's been nice to see him. It's been nice to see him get on track again. I just hope it continues.
Okay, Judd, what is your favorite current Twins thing?
Oh, there's a lot of things. But you know what? I'm going to go to the starting pitching, because the starting pitching probably, and just to be very clear, I do think that a good starter at the deadline makes a ton of sense. So I'm not trying to say it's completely set. But going into Sunday, in the last 10 games, they had allowed 14 runs, which translates to a very, very nice 2.16 ERA. If you take out the 5 runs against Simeon Woods Richardson on Saturday, that drops to 1.5. And 7 of those starts have gone at least 6 innings. This has been impressive. And hell, Bailey Ober, that start in Kansas City was an absolute disaster. But if you look at what he's been asked to do and what he's delivered since then, he is, I mean, Christ, if we were to re-rank where guys are right now rotationally, just on how they're performing, he's top end of the rotation right now.
If you take out, I mean, his first start was such a disaster.
Right.
Inning and a third, 8 earned runs. He put 10 guys on base, gave up 3 homers. It was like, is he tipping pitches? And
right. But now he's come back, and it's been a prolonged period of being really good.
If you take his last 7 starts, just take the first start out and just look at his other 7 starts. Bailey Ober has a 2.16 ERA, 2.22 FIP. He has only 2 home runs allowed, 3 home runs allowed the first start, only 2 home runs allowed in the 41 2/3 innings since then.
Yep.
And opponents are hitting a 463 OPS against, 149 batting average against, 193 on base percentage against, and a 270 slugging percentage against. I mean, it is like Cy Young caliber stuff in those 7 starts.
And what's important here is his previous start on Tuesday against Seattle. So he got pulled after 82 pitches. The bullpen melted down from the low leverage guys, and Rocco took heat from fans asking, why'd you pull Bailey Ober? And Ober said post-game, mechanically, he said, I was off. Like, I just didn't feel right. Now, physically fine, but mechanically, he said, like, I didn't even feel good. That's why I didn't go out there for the 6. And it then obviously resulted in a loss. But then for Ober to come back against Toronto, and I know Toronto's been scuffling, and they've certainly been a disappointment. That lineup is still that line. Like, that lineup hasn't gone anywhere. Like, Vlad Guerrero's still really, really good.
Yeah.
They still have a really good lineup, and he mowed them down for 10 strikeouts and 1 hit, dude. So Bailey Ober has 100% taken a bigger step, and certainly we can have a conversation about them adding a frontline pitcher. And maybe I'm premature saying this, but I don't know if they need to go get an ace. Like, do they need starting depth? Yeah, they need starting depth. I don't think you need to go get an ace necessarily at the deadline right now with how good you're getting outings from Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, and Bailey Ober.
Well, so let's use just for those 3 guys. So we're going to get in the weeds here statistically on the Score North Twin Show. Baseball. So fielding independent pitching is essentially your expected ERA. We can talk about how the sausage, pun intended, is made some other time, but it's essentially the things that you can control as a pitcher, and the formula is meant to look numbers-wise like an ERA. So it's like an expected ERA based on your strikeout rate, walk rate, the things that you can control. And Joe Ryan leads Twin starters with a 2.99 FIP, or expected ERA. Pablo Lopez, 3.02. And Bailey Ober, 3.18. Now, there's a little noise, like Lopez and Ober have slightly higher ERAs, but they're both under 4. But if they were to keep pitching this way, those ERAs would come closer to 3 than 4. And by the way, Simeon Woods Richardson, 3.06 fielding independent pitching.
Yeah.
So they've just got a handful of guys who are shoving, and Chris Paddock has been fine, bottom of the rotation. But depth, yeah, like once you get beyond these guys, it is thin. It is thin. Louis Varland's down there in AAA. I mean, you could definitely use somebody else to come in here. It'd be nice to maybe bump one of these guys to the bullpen in the postseason.
Varland would be. I would make that change now.
If you, but you need other guys who are stretched out in case there's an injury or something that you could rely on as major league starters. So at some point, a trade has to happen.
I'd like to see him acquire what might be considered a 2 or 3. Like I agree with Declan. They don't need a lights out ace, but I'd love a 2
flew through the Verlander.
I would like, you know what, to that point, wouldn't it be nice to get a guy with a ton of playoff experience?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Justin Verlander would
Justin Verlander, first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, and he shoved a couple of days ago against the Tigers.
Oh, he still has it. He still has it.
Shoving.
Yep. Still got it.
Okay, my favorite Twins thing, I think it's Ryan Jeffers. So I looked this up. Ryan Jeffers, by the way, on the season is he's just been ridiculous. So he has a 988 OPS, 9 home runs, leads the team, 30 RBIs, leads the team, 21 runs scored, leads the team. It's a freaking catcher/DH. But if you look at Ryan Jeffers the last 2 seasons, so take 2023 and 2024, of all the hitters in baseball the last 2 years who've had at least 450 plate appearances, Ryan Jeffers is 12th. Both leagues, all hitters, 12th in weighted on base average, which essentially takes OPS and puts it into context. It properly weighs on base and slugging. Shohei Ohtani's number 1. Mookie Betts, Acuna, Judge, Freddie Freeman, Juan Soto, Yordan Alvarez, Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, Jose Altuve, Corey Seager, and Ryan Jeffers, just above Bryce Harper. That's insane. I mean, he's one of the 12 best hitters in baseball going back to the beginning of last season.
He should start the All-Star game. He should 100% be the starting catcher in the All-Star game. And the Twins are doing a really good job here of balancing between him and Vasquez. And I'm sure there might be some, like, why is Vasquez catching so much? But that DH spot opening up a little bit more, that Buxton isn't occupying it. Larnach was occupying it because of an injury, but it looks like he's now kind of moved past that. They can still get Vasquez, Jeffers in the lineup together where Jeffers is DHing to a degree. So he should 100%, though, start the All-Star game. Like, he is having an incredible season.
Yeah, I mean, he right now is I think you could say this without being too far out on a limb, the best hitting catcher in baseball.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a fluke.
Not a hot take. No.
Which sounds nuts, but yeah, he's been great. Here's my question. Why does Mitch Garver not like him?
I don't know.
Like, what's the beef there?
He had that weird comment last year when they were here at Texas. There was like that one guy that took my job or something. Like, I'm paraphrasing a little bit there,
yes.
But he basically said that, and it's just weird. I don't know. I think that guy's a weird duck. If I'm being completely honest. A reporter was asked
about Garver, who covers the Twins, and he, because the question was like, is this guy just a jerk on Garver? And he said he's one of the nicest guys I've met. His problem is with one player and one player only, which I'm sure is Jeffers. It's just a very weird dynamic. Because like Ryan Jeffers seems like an eminently likable dude.
Yes.
And Garver was fine when he was here.
I've obviously only been in that clubhouse for a month and change, but easily one of the nicer and normal guys that you can talk to. Like in fact, I would probably rank him as one of my favorite guys to talk to because he's just an honest, nice, normal human being. So I'm not sure where that comes from.
I also like in the NBA, you get player beefs. You get like these weird falling outs and stuff, like because it's smaller rosters and there's high expectations if you're a super team. And so guys get hurt feelings. I can't remember in the 15 to 20 years I've been covering baseball, either radio, podcast, or as a beat writer in the clubhouses every day. we don't get a lot of player beef. So like we got like Piazza versus Clemens.
Yep.
Pedro versus the
I feel
Yankees.
like we used to get more, but yeah, you're right. We don't get
A-Rod
many now.
sometimes. Yeah, like it is weird when, especially with the Twins catcher and backup catcher, like what?
But I mean, does Mitch feel he was stabbed in the back? Because I mean, as far as I
Dude,
can tell,
everyone's
Mitch doesn't
fighting
catch,
for their
right?
jobs. Like
Yeah.
Mitch DHs now. Like he was never a great catcher.
Well, it started with that 2020 COVID playoff series where I believe Jeffers, who came up, just took the job, like because Garver wasn't good in that abbreviated season, and then Garver was still with the Twins in 2021, but Jeffers was getting adjusted to and wasn't that great, and then they traded away Garver. So I don't know. The whole thing to me is very, very strange.
Yeah.
Very weird dynamic.
we'll get to our last category here on this Monday State of the Twins episode in just a moment. But if you're coming to the Twin Cities from out of town, or if you just want to stay overnight, steps away from Target Field to see Ryan Jeffers hit baseballs onto the light rail tracks, Dex, where can people stay?
They can go to the Element Hotel. It's a great stumbling distance away from Target Field. They have free Wi-Fi. They have a great 24-hour fitness center, which is obviously awesome. They even are pet-friendly, too, so you can bring your dogs there. You can see it on the YouTube screen. They got a great snack section down there. That's always a big one for me at a hotel. Like, what is the snack situation down in the lobby? Because that's an important one. Sometimes, if you got a little drunchies coming home and you want a couple bag of chips, well, it's right there for you at the Element Hotel. You can book your next stay right now by going to scorenorth.com/element, and that'll give you 15% off your room rate. Maybe a roommate.
That's the second time you've done that.
That's the second time I've done that. I got to remove room rate. I'm just going to say 15% off a room, okay? At scorenorth.com/element.
You can't buy roommates at Element, but you can buy
Ryan
snacks.
Jeffers and Mitch Garver will not be roommates at the Element, I think, anytime soon.
Maybe you can make a weekend out of it and see a St. Paul Saints game, too, the Twins' AAA affiliate, and one of America's finest minor league ballparks as well. It's a great time. If you've never been to a St. Paul Saints game, all Thursdays are Thirsty Thursdays featuring $2 beers and 2-for-1 seltzers. And also during the Omaha series coming up here in a few days, if you guys are into 80s movies, like I know Judd and I love 80s movies.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
Long Duck Dong from Sweet 16 or from 16 Candles.
American Girlfriend.
He's going to be there on May 17th, Friday Night Fireworks as well. There's a Royce Lewis bobblehead giveaway on Saturday, and then Dog Day on the 19th of May.
Got to get there. Bobblehead is great. Yeah.
Do you have? Is this the first Royce Lewis bobblehead that anyone's done?
No. Cedar Rapids did one a couple of years ago when he played there. In fact, I got it right here. It's not cheap, but this one.
There it is. It doesn't.
It's
really
not
look
bad.
Like it looks like Dan Gladden.
Yeah, but it's a fielding one, which I like more. But yeah,
anything like Royce
the
Lewis, to be
Colonels.
completely honest.
It's the Colonels. But yeah, this is the first one. The Twins have not done one, and the Saints do good ones. They're smaller, but they're good bobbleheads. So
tickets and full schedule at saintsbaseball.com. Saintsbaseball.com. Okay,
16
even though
Candles, fantastic, by the way.
Great 80s
Love
flick.
that movie.
Even though the vibes are very positive right now, let's go around the room. Our last category for today: your least favorite Twins thing right now, Declan.
So I talked about this on Friday. I said something to watch, and I do think something is up here. Alex Kirilloff. I don't think that this is just a prolonged slump. Over the last 30 games, he has just 15 hits. He's hitting 167. He has one hit over his last 19 at-bats. And when you have a guy who has had experienced wrist issues and shoulder issues before, I don't think this is someone that's just being adjusted to and he's now in like this slump and a funk. I think there's something up here. And you're seeing even with some of his swing patterns and his exit velo and just the way the ball's coming off the bat, it doesn't look right. And I don't know if there's going to be an IL stint, but something is a little off here. I don't think that this is just a baseball slump. I think there could be something potentially flaring up here with Alex Kirilloff, because right now we talk about being unplayably bad. I mean, last 30 games, 15 hits, and you're mostly still hitting in the middle of that order. That's scary. So I think something is up here with Alex Kirilloff.
Yeah, it's too bad, man. Like, we kind of talked about this last week. He's not the type of guy that he's such a good hitter when he's healthy that he's probably not just slumping. It's almost always a physical thing that prevents him from being a good hitter, and that's the scary part about this right now. So, Judd, what about you? What's your least favorite current Twins thing?
It remains the same. I might have brought this up last week as well, and Dex said that this guy is in no jeopardy of losing his job, but it feels like there's a new Emilio Pagan on the block, and his name is Jay Jackson. The last 2 times out, Seattle and Toronto, 5 earned runs, 4 hits, a walk in 2/3 of an inning. That included 2 runs and 2 hits, and he got 1 out on Saturday in Toronto. His ERA is 6.87. I understand you might like his stuff, but at some point in time, this guy bounced around with Toronto for a reason, and he, to me, epitomizes that the back end of the bullpen might need a little bit more help. And I don't know how much, if you're going to be a true contender, which the Twins look like they are now, I don't know how much you want to run this guy out there to get it right. I don't know if there's options left, because I know he was in the minors with Toronto last year, but basically Tuesday and Saturday, Jay Jackson played a very big role in coming in from the bullpen with a can of gasoline and matches and lit the damn thing on fire and walked away. So
Yeah.
It's not, to me, this is concerning. It's not like there's a long track record of Jay Jackson being great and this is just a slump. I think the Twins think they see something, but if you can get him to St. Paul and work on that, if he does have options left, I would far prefer that from what we're seeing right now.
Yeah,
So-
go ahead, Dex.
I do know internally they love this guy. The front office, the coaching staff, there's a big belief in this guy. Where I will fight you a little bit on being Emilio Pagan. Pagan was brought in a lot of high leverage situations. Now, relievers have to get outs, and there's going to be magnifying glasses on them. But with the way the bullpen is managed sometimes, like there's going to be games where these are Jay Jackson's innings. Like he's going to have to pitch to a degree. It's against left-handers that he has been atrocious. So he's a heavy slider guy, throws a ton of sliders. That's been his bread and butter. Against righties this year, opponents are hitting 195 against him. It's again against lefties that they are just destroying him. I mean, OPS well over 1,000.
But that's a problem.
You need to bring this guy in situationally to be effective against right-handed pitchers. But at the end of the day, if Duran's pitched, Jax has pitched, and all these guys have pitched, sometimes these guys, the Jay Jacksons, the Steven Okers, they have to get out. So there's a longer leash on this guy than I think fans and maybe even Judd wants, but he's going to have to be relied upon right now because there really isn't also another option to come up and replace him.
I'll piggyback because my least favorite current Twins thing is Caleb Thielbar, and it's the inverse problem that Jay Jackson has, where Jay Jackson is pretty effective against right-handed batters still, like Declan laid out the numbers. It's the lefties. On the flip side, Caleb Thielbar, and this is a problem going back last year too, he's still pretty good against left-handed batters. Like he's a loogie. He's a lefty specialist.
Yep.
He's a lefty one-out guy.
Which used to be
Love it.
great.
Yep, but
Tony
the
Fonseca.
rule changes a few years ago.
Yep.
You have to stay in for 3 batters, and so these guys, where I would say that Jay Jackson probably gets a longer leash just in terms of like how long would you put up with this, is about 70 to 75% of any given team's hitters are right-handed. So you're going to be able to run fewer lefties out there to kind of break it up. In the case of Thielbar, all right, you come in to get a lefty out. Maybe there's 2 lefties that you're about to face in the inning, and you face the first one, but now they pinch hit for the second one, and now it's like now you're facing righties.
Right.
And Caleb Thielbar the last 2 years has given up a 955 OPS against right-handed hitters. This year, right-handed hitters are batting 391 with a 994 OPS against Thielbar. So, I mean, that's literally like Albert Pujols' best season type numbers, if not even better than that. And it's not much better going back to last year. So these guys like Jackson and Thielbar, can you get away with them only being able to get one side of the plate out? I would tolerate it more if it's right-handed batters that you get out. But Caleb Thielbar, it's going to be tough. If you can't get a right-handed batter out and you got to stay in there and face 3 batters, I don't know what the solution is. It's probably not going to work anymore.
And what's the leash then? Like, do you just put up with this for another month? Do you just say, screw it, we're going to put up with it for 2 months? Do you try and look, I mean, Jackson might be fine, but he feels like he's working through things at times. And it's like, I know the place to work through things. It's across town. It's Lower Town in St. Paul, baby.
That's right. Saints at saintsbaseball.com.
And you can watch them. Yeah, exactly right. You can go watch them. Get a bobblehead for Royce on Saturday. I love that.
So, all right, there's your State of the Twins, gentlemen.
Baseball.
on this Monday. Trevor Plouffe Tuesday. Tomorrow, Declan's got extra innings episodes sprinkled in throughout every single week on the Score North Twin Show. Apple and Spotify, a 5-star rating and a positive review goes a long way to help us keep growing this thing. And then that new Score North Twin Show YouTube channel as well. Click the subscribe button on that. All right, boys. We'll see you tomorrow. For Coach Trev.